How's it going, guys? I'm the son of Jazzy. Welcome back to another Dead by Daylight discussion video, technically. Now today we are going to be ranking every single Dead by Daylight killer's Mori. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, and the reason for it is I'm going to be making a little video in the future regarding some of the killer's Moris. I feel like some of the killer's Moris definitely need some reworks, and I wanted to make a little video about that, but then I thought that might not make sense without maybe doing a tier list so you guys understand basically exactly where my opinions are on people's Moris. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be watching every killer's Mori, ranking it from the best to the best, all the way down to boring. And then in a future video, I'm going to be discussing the people who are in the bottom tier, what could potentially rework, what animations they could do to potentially give the Mori a much better look. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So just as a quick little thing before we start, all of the videos of the Moris that I'm going to be using in this video I have got from another YouTube video, and the dude who owns the channel is called Cyrex. Really cool dude, go check him out, and yeah, just wanted to make sure that I gave him fair dues before we started the video. So right off the bat, we are going to be doing this in release order. So first and foremost, we have the Trapper. Now, unfortunately, the Trapper's Mori absolutely sucks. I understand at the time it's probably the best that they could have done, but this is definitely one of the characters that I wanted to get on in the future. His Mori is boring. It is really boring, considering the possibilities that you could have done with the Trapper, and I understand that obviously it was a brand new indie game, they might not have had the budget for the animations for that, but potentially going to revisit, you could do something really cool with the Trapper, and something definitely cooler than just slashing at the back with the machete. I feel like he should at least incorporate his trap in there somehow. I don't know, plenty of room for discussion, but I just feel like the Trapper's unfortunately isn't very good at all. So next up, obviously, we have the Wraith. Now, the Wraith's Mori is more or less identical to the Trapper's, so unfortunately that does mean he is also in the bottom of the list. Now, same thing, they could have done so much more with his Mori. Understand about the limitations of the animations at the time of release. Obviously, these killers are the first to come out of the game. Obviously, they're the ones that are going to be the most basic. However, I have to judge them how they are, and unfortunately, because of the aging and because there's so many other better Moris out there, I have to give their bottom tier to Wraith as well, because his Mori is more or less the same. Drag, slash, that's over. You could do something so much better. Something for like the lines of potentially getting the bell and repeatedly smacking the survivor over the head, but the bell rings every hit. Something like that. Just something maybe just a little bit more personal. I feel like that's something that these two at least are lacking, is a little bit of a personal touch that makes them unique to their character, if you get me. Now, I don't want to be mean, I'm not doing it on purpose, but obviously as well, I'm also going to say that Billy's is probably the best out of the bottom three. So Billy's as well is fairly basic, but I am going to give a little bit more of a leeway, considering that he uses his chainsaw, he uses his weapon, his main personalizing feature, obviously besides Bubba's chainsaw, but he used his main weapon. And I feel like, yeah, it was a little bit basic. He probably used it in the most cliche way and could do another couple of things as well. But unfortunately, Billy's Mori doesn't really excite me that much. It's not something I look forward to seeing. It's just unfortunately, it's just another boring one that I don't quite enjoy. So yeah, sorry about the main three poster boys, but I don't like any of their Moris. So the next killer is obviously the Nurse. Now, the Nurse, I feel, actually has a pretty good Mori. I'm quite happy with it. I feel like I have got a couple of ideas on how potentially they could maybe do a rework on hers as well. It isn't exactly essential, but I do have a couple of ideas. But the Nurse's Mori, it's quick, it's simple, but it's very fitting to her character. The small characteristics she has when she's doing the Mori. I like it when killers seem to have emotion, and the way that like the Nurse strokes the face and whatnot. It just gives us a little bit of a character tweak, a little bit of something extra that kind of personalizes the Nurse a little bit more, which kind of for me makes this Mori a little bit scarier because of how she thinks of the body. And I know I'm probably just completely overthinking this, but it's just how I feel. Nurse has got a really good Mori. I like that she's got a little bit of an emotion through it, and I feel like it's just a nice little kill. So yeah, Nurse's is good. Nurse's is very good. So next up, Michael Myers. Now, Michael also has quite a good Mori. I quite enjoy his. It's kind of chilling, fits his character, and the way that he throws the body to the side afterwards, I feel like he's a really, really nice addition. That you could have just let them slump, but they gave the time to show us throwing him to the ground, throwing the character to the ground, and I really do like that. It's quick, it's kind of like an intimate kill. He looks into their face. It's very, very Myers, and I very much like it. I would say it's better than Nurse's, only by a bit, but definitely, without question, Myers has a very, very good Mori, and I quite enjoy it. So next up we have the Huntress. Now Huntress is the first character that I am going to give the amazing spot to. I really enjoy the Huntress's Mori. It is brutal, it is quick, it's got emotion in it, with the way that they've also given extra characteristics to the survivor, with the hatchet in their face kind of trying to pull it out or grab something, and then just the rage at the end with the Huntress carrying on already after. It's a brutal, violent kill, and I very much like it. The Huntress has a very nice Mori. What could be done differently? Maybe potentially a couple of things. However, as it is a very good Mori that doesn't need any changing, I don't think. So next up we have the Hag. Now the Hag, as well as the Huntress, has an incredible Mori. Very much like it. I would agree that it's better than the Huntress's just because it has a little bit more of a story, a little bit more characterization. Obviously the Hag is a cannibal, and the fact that not only is it a really violent kill, but the fact that she eats organs, I honestly couldn't tell you which ones they are. It's just a really good kill, a fantastic Mori, and probably a very good example of kind of what I expect from a Mori, which is quick, brutal, and I want to be kind of reminded of the character's personal traits and characteristics within the Mori. I feel like it's a good representation of who that character is, and I'll get more into that as we get along, because the later additions to DVD really do encapsulate kind of what I mean by that, but we'll get to that later. The Hags is amazing without question. So next up we have the Doctor. Now the Doctor, I feel like his Mori is good, but I know it can be better. Now I know that might be a little bit surprising because the Doctor obviously has quite a good cinematic Mori, but I do feel like it is a little bit cliche. It was exactly what I was expecting it to be, and that kind of can annoy me sometimes when it comes to a cool character like the Doctor. The Doctor with all of his electricity and his laugh and stuff, that could have done a lot more, but I feel like they went a little bit basic with it. However, I will say a very nice touch that he was given was obviously at the end where he kind of lifts the survivor back and you can see the black smoke coming from the face. That is a very nice touch, and I'd say that is what's keeping it from... that's making it good and not what I'd put in the meh. But I do feel like there could have been a little bit more inventive and he could have had a better Mori, but for what we got, it is a good Mori, I can't deny that. But I was a little bit, I feel like they held back just a touch. So yeah, Mori is very good, but I wouldn't call it amazing. Now, of course, next we have Bubba. Now, Leatherface's Mori, I feel like they did as well as they could have done with it, but unfortunately I do feel like it is almost on the verge of boring. I'm going to put it as meh, because I feel like it is better than those three characters' Moris, but it is kind of on the same lines as Billy's. It's just got a little bit more character, a little bit more personal towards Bubba, and it is a little bit, tiny bit more inventive. I can't really give it a good... It's almost there, but I feel like it's just not good enough to be there. It isn't bad, it isn't good, but it's not terrible. I understand why they did what they did. It's cool that he used both of his weapons, but it just reminds me too much of Billy's, and I feel like it could have maybe done something a little bit different, something a little bit more inventive, because they have a lot to work with Bubba. There are many films, many kills, and I feel like they just went a little bit cliche again. But it isn't terrible, it isn't the worst, but yeah, that's where I place him. So I must admit, this one does hurt quite a bit. I am a massive Freddy Krueger fan. The Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is one of my favourite horror films collections of all time. I absolutely adore that series. And I know that his Mori is a reference to one of the kills in the film, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to give Freddy probably the best out of the boring bunch. Freddy is a dream master. He is capable of so many incredible things, inventive ways to kill, and I feel like his is probably one of the most boring Moris. It hurts to say, but they could have done so much more with him. They could have done so much more with him than simply hand glove through the chest and then step into frame. I don't know. I feel like with a little bit more work, they could have done something real special, and unfortunately his Mori just falls flat for me, and it really hurts for me to say that because I love the character, but I feel like that gives me good credit to know that unfortunately they've done him a little bit dirty with his Mori. I understand the reference, I understand that it's a mention to the film, but unfortunately it isn't good enough for that to carry it. So yeah, bottom tier unfortunately it goes into. Now unfortunately this one really hurts me to do as well, because as also you guys all know, the Saw series is one of my personal favourites as well. It's up there with Nightmare on Elm Street. If I have to say my favourite horror franchises, it'd be Nightmare on Elm Street and Saw, 100%. And unfortunately, the Pig's Mori is also quite boring. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but it's got almost nothing keeping it from the bottom tier. I must say, probably just maybe a little bit of bias. I do love the pig, and I feel like it is a little bit different, but unfortunately not really a good utilisation of the character. If he was to show me that, when I see that Mori, it doesn't remind me of something that the pig would do, because it's just boring. It's just a little bit boring. Now that does hurt, and as I said, I'm a massive Saw fan. I'm not too necessarily sure what they could have done differently, but I just feel like they went a bit basic, and they were just like, right, we'll do this, we'll do that, and we'll just ship it. And I feel like they could have put a little bit more thought and care into it and done something really special, because they have, as the same with Freddy, they have a lot of work to study from when it comes to the pig, and they could have just done something so much better. But unfortunately, what we got was a little bit basic, so I am going to have to put it in the meh category. So this one might actually make me a little bit different than the rest. Now the clown, I love his Mori. I feel like it is a very, very good Mori, but I don't feel like it's the best of the best. I know a lot of people regard Clown's Mori as one of the best, because obviously the way that he sucks the finger, because it's gross, it's disgusting, it's unsettling, and a lot of people will put it best of the best. However, I am going to stick it in the amazing category. I feel like it is very good, but the first part of the Mori I don't like. I feel like, yes, even though it is a little bit brutal, the fact that he stamps on the head repeatedly, they could have done something much better. For example, I feel like it would have been much cooler if some way he managed to get the gas into the survivor. Like he held the face, smashed one of his gas bottles into it, and they inhaled a full bottle's worth of gas, and then they passed out, he chopped the finger off, something like that. I feel like the first half is a little bit basic, but the second half really makes up for that, because it is brilliant. But I feel like using some form of his gas cloud in the first half would have made it absolutely perfect, because it would have incorporated the disgustingness of it, but also linked it to his character power, which would have been much, much better in my opinion. However, I'm nitpicking at this point. It is a great Mori, but I feel like it's just on the verge of being the best. But yeah, very much still enjoy it, and as I'm sure all of you do. So next up we have the Spirit. Now the Spirit has a very decent Mori. I wouldn't say it's the best of the best, however I would say it's just above average. I would put it above the Doctor's. I feel like the Spirit, honestly, kind of like the cinematography of it is really nice. The way that they pan from different shots to show the knife coming out, and then the way that she attacks, I feel like it's very brutal. You can see her phasing, and then the way she screams at the end, I feel like it's a very nice Mori, probably the best of average, if you understand what I mean. They didn't go too crazy, but they didn't keep it boring. It was well shot, and I feel like if it wasn't shot as nicely as it was, it probably would have looked a lot more boring. But the fact that they panned around different things to show different things, and it was a little bit brutal and a little bit towards the Spirit's character, I did enjoy it. It is a good Mori, and I'd probably say it's probably the best good Mori that we have. So yeah, I have no problem in putting Spirit in the good tier without question. It's a very decent little Mori. Next up, we have everybody's favourite killer. We have the Legion. Now, the Legion, I feel like, even though he isn't one of the best characters in Dead by Daylight, he has a really, really nice Mori. It is simple, but done very well in the fact that it is gruesome and completely fitting to Legion's character. The brutality of it, the way that they give like almost a little chance of the survivor to escape, trying to crawl away, and the Legion pulls them in by the knife in their ankle. That's lovely. That is really nice, and it's just quite a nice little gruesome finisher that is completely Legion through and through. It's over the top, it's edgy, and I like it, I'd say it isn't the best of the best, but it is quite a good Mori to look at. Definitely one of the top ones without question. Yeah, very much enjoyed it. Next up, we have the Plague. Now, the Plague, I feel, has a very, very, very decent Mori, but I don't think it's the best. A bit long-winded, the fact that maybe the first 5 seconds are lifting the survivor up and just staring at them charging, and again, a little bit cliche, but they used their power in a kind of an effective way. And I do think it's okay. I do think it's a good Mori, but they could have done just a couple of little things, maybe an improvement here or there, just to make it something that really stood out as one of the most disgusting Moris. Because with the Plague's power, with it being revolved around sick and puke, they could have gone really, really gross with it, and we would have enjoyed it. However, they did something nice, a little bit safe, but definitely still a good Mori nonetheless. So, next up, I feel like this one is one of the most obvious answers that everyone gives, but it's there for a reason. Ghostface, he gets the first best of the best when it comes to moris. His is so fun and brilliant, and it's caused so many memes and photo bombs. It's just a wonderful, wonderful mori. It really speaks to the character. It's fun to watch, to the point where sometimes you don't mind getting mori'd because it's cool to see the animation. I feel like those moris are the best ones where you don't mind dying because it's just cool to watch the animation, and that is without question Ghostface's mori. It's brutal, it's quick, and then it has a really unexpected comedy moment at the end that is brilliant. Well, it's just brilliant. I don't need to say how good it is. We all know how good Ghostface's mori is. It is one of the best without question, and definitely one of the ones that needs to be competed with. Next on the list, we have the Demogorgon. Now, the Demogorgon as well, I love his mori. I think it is absolutely fantastic. I would say, I'd say exactly there. Now, the Demogorgon's mori, I feel like they could have done a couple of things to make it the best of the best. Maybe done something involving portals or the Upside Down, but just as point blank as it is, I feel like they did a really, really good job with it. The fact that you can hear the muffled screaming of the survivor when the Demogorgon wraps its mouth around their head, the way that he screams marks his territory, the brutalness of it's just wonderful. It is a wonderful mori. However, a couple of things could have made it the best. As I said, something to do with maybe the Upside Down or portals or something like that. But as it stands, an amazing mori, no questions asked. You can't say that it isn't a great mori, because it is. So next, we obviously have my absolute pride and joy, the Oni. He is without a doubt my favourite killer in the DBD roster, has been for a while now, and we all know where I'm going to put him. He, without question, has one of the best moris for me. I would say it's better than Ghostface, because instead of comedy being the reason why it's good, the over-the-top violence and anger and gruesomeness of it is just absolutely fantastic. First you stab him, then you rip the tongue out, and then you smack him with this massive, massive club twice. It is brutal, it is gory, it is exactly what I want in a mori. Now, it might make me sound quite sadistic, but it is what it is. I love the Oni's mori. It is violent and brutal and exactly what the character is, and I feel like they did a lovely, lovely job with it, without question. So one of my favourite moris in DBD, without question. So next up, which might surprise quite a couple of people when I say that this one is my favourite mori in Dead by Daylight, and it is the Death Slingers. Death Slinger for me has the best mori. It is cinematic, it is gory, it is brutal and violent, it is brilliant. I love the way that they really went out of the way to make this gory and gruesome. They didn't have to. They could have done something really simple, like he shoots a harpoon through their head and reels it in or something like that, but they went over the top, they went quite dramatic, they shot it wonderfully, and it is exactly everything that I expect from the Death Slinger. This to me is the pinnacle of the mori. Every mori should be played next to this one so that it can be judged next to it, because for me this is the best of the best. It doesn't get any better than the Death Slingers, and I know that might surprise a couple. I know a couple of people don't even like his mori, but for me it is everything I want in a mori. So yeah, might surprise a couple of people, but for me Death Slinger has the best mori in Dead by Daylight currently. So next up might be also a little bit of a controversial one, Pyramid Head. Now Pyramid Head I feel has an okay mori. It's good, but it could have been a lot better. Actually, I would say I prefer the Plagues to it. So yeah, the Pyramid Head. Now, I feel like with Pyramid Head, it just isn't brutal enough. Obviously, I love the use of the barbed wire. It's shot very nicely in the fact that it goes through separate stages. It's an okay mori. It's enjoyable to watch, but it is just not good enough for Pyramid Head. I feel like they could have done something a lot more graphic, or a lot more brutal anyway, that kind of would have really excelled in making Pyramid Head a feared monster. For an example, I know this probably wouldn't be able to translate into Dead by Daylight, but Pyramid Head is somebody who can literally skin somebody at once. Just twist, rip off their entire skin. He's literally capable of that, and all we get is a quick little slice in a like a little web of barbed wire, and I just feel like even with his power they could have just done so much more, something along the lines of maybe having a survivor wrapped in barbed wire and his knife is, as he twists it, tightens the barbed wire so it just kind of rings them, if you know what I mean, something like that. I don't know, I just feel like for Pyramid Head it isn't good enough, because Pyramid Head should be one of the most feared people. He is a monster, and yet unfortunately his Mori is a little bit basic. It is good, but it could have been just so much better, in my opinion anyway. Next up, the Blight. Now the Blight, I actually really enjoy his Mori, and I think one of the reasons why I enjoy it might be a bit of an interesting reason, but it's one and all the same. So I like the way that they use his power. I feel like it's a very good encapsulation of kind of what he is with the serum. What it did to him, it will just outright kill other survivors, and I like that. I love the gruesomeness on it, the gory grotesqueness. It's disgusting, and I like that. And I think one of the simple things that I really enjoy about it is, as I said, I love it when killers look like they have emotion, like they're playing off something. And whilst the Blight is stabbing the survivor, he's kind of looking around him, stalking like who his next character is going to go be, or he's making sure that nobody's attacking him, and I like that. It's just a cool little feature that kind of gives a little bit more personality to him. The other thing that I feel like lets this Mori down is the ending. After the character's been injected with the serum, he just kind of hits them a couple of times, and I feel like they could have ended on a better note, but an amazing Mori. I really enjoyed seeing it, and I do think it's definitely deserving of the amazing spot. So next up, we are almost done. We have the twins. Now the Mori that I'm going to be reviewing of the twins is the one that is going to include Victor. I feel like that is the better of the both, so I feel like it's fair to give the better of them the chance on the tier list. The other one's alright. The one with just Charlotte alone is okay, but the one with Victor I feel is very good. I would probably say, I would probably give it there. I would probably say it's probably in the middle of the amazing. It's good, it's got a little bit of comedy to it, it's a little bit violent and a little bit brutal, but it's just not the best of the best material. I feel it is a good Mori. It is exactly what I expected from them, not even in like a cliche way, because I feel like they've done a little bit more and gone a little bit more personal with it, the way that Victor and Charlotte kind of look at each other before Victor hops out to kill. I like that. That's a nice bit of personalization that I really do enjoy. So I would say it isn't the best of the best, but it is still quite an amazing Mori. So guys, we're down to the absolute final one now, which is going to be the Trickster. Now the Trickster for me has probably the closest Mori to the best of the best without being the best of the best, and for me personally it is just one small reason why I don't think it's the best. Now the Mori itself is amazing. It is brutal, it's quick, it shows the character off, how cocky he is, how much of a confidence he thinks of himself, and it plays into the Trickster thing with the knives and with the cocky autograph at the end. Absolutely wonderful touch. The one thing that would have made this better for me, or that I would have made this the best of the best, is if the knives stayed in after he threw them at the start of the Mori. So obviously he does all these tricks and he throws knives into the characters and they disappear. They just completely shatter and disappear. I feel like it would have been much better for just for a second for the character to look how many knives they've got in them, to then fall over and have the final one with the autograph. It's a small nitpick, but it really does stop me from making this one the best of the best. But yeah, that's it guys. That is where I'd rank all of the Moris in Dead by Daylight. I hope you enjoyed. Now please do remember as well, this is all just completely my own personal opinion. You guys might have completely different opinions, and which are completely valid, but this is just personally where I would stick everybody. This is where I feel like everybody is. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and please do look forward to the future video that I'm going to be doing. That is basically, we talk through the Moris that aren't maybe the best, or we talk about basically one small trick for every Mori that would upgrade it. So something like that, because I do feel like the Moris are a really good part of Dead by Daylight, and some of the killers deserve better Moris than what they've got. And I feel like if the Mori isn't as good as like the amazing to the best of the best, then it should be worked on, because there is so much more room for growth within it. But that's for another topic, that's for another video. Guys, if you did enjoy, please consider subscribing. It really does help, as well as leaving a like on the video if you did enjoy it. That's it from me. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye for now.